we just got done riding bikes.
It's not too much you can control out here. You kind of got to go with the flow out here.
So I feel like I want to be able to try to do that and just have fun with it. I mean, honestly, like I appreciate you coming out and going on a ride with me, and we're just gonna chop it up and talk. I know we've been talking for a minute now about trying to, link up for the pod, work on something and do something. So here we are. So I'm grateful that we were able to get a ride in, and now we're just getting it started. Which, before we even get started, just to kind of let the viewers know, you are the reason why we're even sitting here having this conversation. And I don't think I've told you that, but basically some time ago we went out on a ride. I seen you post on Instagram that you had gotten a mountain bike and you just started riding, you started cycling or whatever. I saw it as a mountain bike because I've been into mountain bikes for the last few years, and it's played a big role in my life. So I was like, oh shit, where are you going to ride?
Right.
Do you want to go ride? And then that's when we linked up the first time.
Right.
And riding that, and I think, was that the first time you were ever on a trail?
So I would say I did like paths. I haven't done a trail. You introduced me to the trails. I was clueless when I bought this bike. I just knew I needed to do something else besides sitting behind a computer and trying to think of the camera things, the creative things and all that. And I was like, I need something to kind of keep me fit because I'm getting older, and it's like I have to force myself to move now because I like to be comfortable. Once we get older, we get a little comfortable. So I went and I said, hey, if I go spend a couple dollars on a bike, I have no choice but to use it because I spent a nice penny on it. So once I bought it, then I came to the problem like, all right, so what do I do now? So I posted it, and then that's when you DM me like, hey, I already know what bike that is. Like, come on, let's go hit some trails. Like,
and it was cool. It's because like we went out, and honestly, that was just really on just oh shit, like somebody's coming to ride. Like let's go ride.
Right.
So after we rode, like I feel like the few times we stopped and like taking a break or whatever, we were just chopping it up, talking. But then after, after we finished the ride, we just literally stood in the parking lot talking for like 30, 40 minutes after the fact. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, Ross, who I've had on the podcast several times, and he's real big into like podcasting. He has like he runs like 4 different podcasts now and is involved with like all these different shows and stuff. So he's always like pitching ideas, and he's always gotten on me like, hey, what are you doing with the creative blog? Are you trying to resurface that? Like, as you know, like I've kind of been on hiatus.
Right.
I went on hiatus for a while with making new episodes, and feeling a little bit of burnout with that. So, just talking about that, like, hey, I actually was telling him about the interaction that we had. I was like, yeah, I just got done riding. It was really cool. And then we had a really cool conversation afterwards. And that's kind of, he put the bug in my ear. It was like, hey, well, what if you made your podcast, you take people out on bikes and you pod afterwards? You can, it can be post-ride, pre-ride, like out on the trail.
Right.
And here we are. So I've done a few of them, and it's been pretty cool. A few of them have been like first-time mountain bikers or haven't been on a mountain bike for a minute. And it's been a really cool experience. Just after the ride, they come and, share what they like, what they didn't like. They thought it was cool. Some people thought it was going to be a lot harder. I know, like, when people usually talk about mountain biking, they'll, they think that you're just doing jumps, doing all these crazy downhills and stuff. But like, honestly, most of the stuff, at least here in Ohio especially, is like super mellow, and it's just a little bit of like, rough terrain. I'd say a little bit, more advanced than your like hiking trail. And you just ride bikes, and it's like, I really enjoy it because it really, when you're out on the trail, your mind has to like really, you have to lock in.
You have to lock in, yeah.
You have to lock in on the trail, what's out right in front of you, so you don't have time to like really think about anything else.
And that's kind of why I like it too, because it's kind of it's something new that I need to master. I know I'm not the best at the camera things or the process of shooting and all that, but it's just like I feel like I got to a point where it's like this works when it comes to the camera and the whole business of that I kind of plateaued on my creativity. So it's like, let me pick up a new hobby. So I'm out here, I'm learning every day, like what I told you when we was out there. If you see my posture bad, if you see my footing's wrong, like even you told me, fix my seat. Like, so I'm learning, I'm out here getting my creative juices going in another place, to the point, hopefully once I get into this a little more, maybe that drive to be a lot more creative on the camera side can come back. Cause it's like, all right, I took some time off from the camera things, and I did the mountain bike. So now it's like, all right, I mastered that. All right, let me learn something new, Let me pick up some new habits when it comes to the camera things, because I get stagnant. like it works. This client only wants this, or that person only wants that, and I'm kind of like, all right, I can do that. I don't need to be too creative with it. So it's just like, let me stop being comfortable and get that drive back.
So, and I guess, my apologies. I feel like for our listeners, we just kind of jumped into it and just
Introduce
started
myself.
talking,
Yeah,
but give the viewers, listeners, an intro, like who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Shawn. Some people call me Dream. I run Dream Vision Films. Um, I specialize in music videos, weddings, anything you can do with a camera. I recently just got into, maybe the past 2 years, get into feature films. So that's really been, I've been enjoying learning that process. And I worked with a lot of celebrities, traveled all over the country, out of the country. And yeah, so that's pretty much it.
And I know, like, when did you start? When did you kind of get your start in like videography? Because like I feel like, in just in the whole industry as a whole, because I feel that we had, I don't know if you was, I think you already had been doing it for some time when I first came across you, because I think at the time you were still in Cincinnati.
Yes.
And like I feel a lot of us during that time, like in the early 2010s,
Yeah.
a lot of us really got our start like doing, the running, what is now known as the run and
Running
gun
gun.
music
Yeah.
videos.
Back then we was doing what we could, what we had. So.
Well, I mean, and like all we knew was like it's
The
interesting too.
information wasn't out there at the time. It was basically, at that time, it was just mimic. Just what they did, mimic it, see if you could figure it out. You figured it out, you learned the new lesson. Like, it wasn't really tutorials on how to do things. It was trial and error. So
So I feel like there was, when like for real, like honestly, like you were one of the first guys. Like when I first started, like, and you would like watch any videos, or even people would hit me up like, hey, like I want to do a video like this. And, like they were showing me like videos that you had done. Who else? Who else was it? It was like you and So. That was like,
also, RP So, man.
yeah, like you guys were like early on. You were kind of like, for me at least, like some of like the local guys that I saw, like, oh wow, like they're doing really cool stuff. And it was different from like I feel like, I guess what you would call now like more cinematic music videos. I feel like you was doing that more so than what everybody else was doing at the time, where it was just kind of like, post up in a location, get a couple different angles, and that was it. Where like I remember you guys would incorporate a lot of B-roll, a lot of different things, and like the videos that you guys made were, like I always drew a lot of inspiration from them. And I feel like that's honestly like one of the first times when we first connected was through that. So it's been cool just kind of seeing your growth over the years too. Is like you don't necessarily do those as much anymore, and
Yeah.
I'll ask you like the reason why. I've kind of shied away from that over the years, from doing those types of videos, just because I lost. I feel like as you grow, you kind of like start doing more things. You want to evolve and like learn and try new things. And for me, I started getting a little bit bored with doing the same cookie cutter things that everybody wanted. And a lot of the guys that I would talk to, they didn't really want to try to do much creatively, and they just wanted the same thing that A guy and B guy was doing.
Yeah.
And it really like sucked a lot of energy from me. And then I got involved with like doing some like higher budget music videos, and that introduced me to a whole different world of like filmmaking and working with teams and just working with different people, that like I kind of just started shying away from like a lot of the run and gun stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like I'll do them every now and then, but I used to like run myself ragged
Yeah.
for $250, shoot like 30 videos a month, bro.
I
Like
have horror stories of being a cheap videographer, of losing footage because I got 3 music videos on one SD card, and it's time to edit, or I'm at a shoot, and I'm like, did I save this memory? Did I save this video already? And I'm like, yeah, I saved it. Doo-doo-doo. It's time to go edit. And I'm looking through the hard drive. Where's this video at? Oh my goodness! Now I got to call the client back. Hey, bro,
we gotta shoot that
it took
again.
me 2 days to get the courage up. Like, hey, bro, I lost the footage, but I'll shoot you 2 videos, man, just for the inconvenience. Now I'm out shooting 2 of their videos and stuff like that. Like, I always took pride in making things right when I did mess up. I know it's a lot of people that probably would just be like, hey, we just got to reshoot it. And I don't think that's fair on the clients and all that. But I did learn when I slowed down and raised my prices, it felt a lot quieter. Instead of the phone ringing, hey, how's the video? The next guy, hey, how's the video looking? Hey, how's the video looking? And you got 6 videos in your hard drive, and you only started on the first one. Like, So you just know it's gonna be a long weekend. Your friends say, "Hey, come on, let's go out tonight." I can't do it, man. I got to pull an all-nighter.
Yeah, like honestly, even for me, like my relationship at home,
Mhm.
like it took a turn where like at the time I was working like a full-time job
Uh-huh.
and doing all this video stuff on the side that I literally would just never have any time to like spend time with the family, do things with the family. And like there was a while there where I legit was kind of like removed
Mhm.
and wasn't around.
Yeah.
And it really like put a damper on my relationship, just being able to spend time with the family, spend time with your loved ones. And that really kind of, I don't know, people talk about like the work-life balance. That's when I really started kind of put a lot more emphasis on that
Mhm.
and thinking about like how with what I work, how do I, you know, bridge that into, you know, my day-to-day life so I can, you know, get the best of everything where I can obviously work and provide for my family, but also not work all the time and not be able to spend
Right.
time, you know, with my family.
You want to be present.
Yeah,
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 because
honestly, that.
I can say when I started doing this business and when it started taking off, I kind of stopped being present in a lot of things. Even when something was going great, I was thinking about what was next. What's the next thing I need to do to keep this going? Or because I remember one time I shoot a music video. It probably was maybe 4 or 5 years ago out in LA. We rented a mansion for the music video, and then after the video, you know, we in LA, we got a mansion. Hey, call everybody up. So we start throwing a party, and I'm sitting there. Everybody's here doing everything. Somebody came up to me like, "Hey, man, ain't you throwing a party?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Why you in your phone? You got everybody out here." You know what I mean? We all came because of you. And then at that moment, like he told me that he was like, "You need to be present. Like you put all this stuff together, and you over here on your cell phone, and you're not enjoying what's going on." And to this day, I don't think I have any pictures or videos of that party. And it was probably like that. Listen, that story, Airbnb was trying to charge me $10,000 out.
Oof.
They said it was flooding and all type of stuff. It was a good party though, but I have no footage of it. I probably should have got some footage, you know. But yeah, we was in a $5 million mansion, and I'm in my cell phone, you know.
how did you go about like being more present?
Stepping away from the camera. I feel like the camera became my life. Even if I wasn't editing or shooting, I'm on YouTube looking at other people's reviews, other people's work, all of that. And then it was like, I need hobbies. I had hobbies before I started this. This shouldn't be my life. Even with like a couple friends and stuff like that, like, or friend clients, it got to the point like every time I was getting invited out, hey, make sure you bring your camera. Make sure you bring it. I'm more than a camera. It turned it like I was like, I shouldn't feel like that, but I should, because it's like I'm more than a camera, bro. Sometimes I just want to come out to your event. I don't want to come out to film it or shoot it.
Yeah.
I just want to be present in the event. Like, and I took them steps to force that. I ain't gonna say force it, but kind of let people know, like, hey, I'm just pulling up. You know that, right? Like, how much to come film? I don't want to film it. I just want to pull up and support you. You know, things like that. Picking up hobbies like this, biking. I started running. You know, yeah, just things like that. So.
And you know, I know you still do music videos. You kind of do same when we kind of do a little bit of everything,
Mhm.
right? It's like how I know you just recently a film that you shot recently came out,
Mhm. Tears
and
for Tasha.
Tears for Tasha. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but like I've seen, you know, the trailers and just seeing like some of the feedback that I've been seeing online from people that have watched it.
Mhm.
Like it's, you know, a story with a good message, and it's something you made.
Right,
Like
right.
what has your transition been from shooting, you know, run and gun music videos to getting now to a point where you're, you know, had your hands in shooting a feature film?
I love the feature films a lot more because it's more of a process. It's not just the day you pull up, shoot it, send it out to them, and never watch that video again. Maybe that day you watch it 2, 3 times, and then after that you don't revisit it. When it comes to the film, you see the process of how can you take a story that's on paper, well, I guess computers now, iPad, and then just bring it to life and just see it grow. Because even being like a DP, you understand the story, but the director really knows the story. So you kind of still piecing it together as you're shooting, like,
Right.
oh, so this is okay, it makes sense. So even as the DP, you discovering stuff as you shoot. And the more you discover, the more you can kind of like, you know, put your flavor on it, where it's like, well, why don't we get this type of shot if we trying to portray this emotion with this character and stuff like that. So it's just I think it just spikes up the creativity a little more because it's you kind of grow with the project. You more attached to this project instead of like a run and gun video.
Was it? What were some of the things that you took away from shooting that, right? Because was that so for Tears for Tasha, was that your first like feature film that you had your hands in like shooting, or have you done like short films or anything like that before that?
I had two short films before that. Actually, that was Tears for Tasha. That's my third released film. I have a Christmas movie coming out um, later this year too, but that's my third release film. Um, is that the third one we shot? Yeah, actually, it's the third one I shot too. So with that one, it just every project I just grow. I learned the lingo on set. That was one thing. That was the biggest thing, learning film lingo, because I was confused.
Yeah, well, I mean, not only that, right? Because like I feel like coming from the run and gun world, you're used to just working alone.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you have one or two other people that help you out, but like when you're on set,
Right.
like on a movie set, like
You're the expert at everything. You might have your homeboy putting up a light for you. He don't really know. Just put it up and put it on medium. All right, cool. But on set, you got experts in every field, and it's like it's a weight lifted off of your shoulders, you know. Shout out to Gracie. She was my first AC on 3 of them films. When I tell you, I didn't realize what I was missing with the first AC. She made sure, like, if I was to, hey, Gracie, we about to get this shot. If I decide to go to the to go get some water or something like that, when I come back, Gracie will make sure everything is together. She's like, "Is this cool? All right, cool. We ready." Like, and that was so great because it's been a lot of times I'll be setting up the camera, whoop-de-whoop. I need something to drink, but it's time to shoot. Like, and this is all about this is all for the music videos and stuff like that, where I'm doing every job. I'm sweating bullets. All right, come on, y'all, come on, y'all, and it's just like, come on, pick it up, pick it up. It was a lot. Like, I could breathe on these features, you know.
yeah, I feel like with my experience working with like a first AC has been, it 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 makes your job a little bit easier. Where if you're, yeah, if you have to multitask, so sometimes you maybe are talking with the director or the other DP or the other camera operator, and you're kind of figuring out what's the next move going to be.
Uh-huh.
You can, having an AC or somebody there to help out with like setting up the camera.
Right.
They can help you get everything prepped for the shot while you're already, kind of planning for the next one. I know
Talking to
that,
the director, trying to figure out exactly what you want. Yep.
so like I that's one of the things that's been cool about working with a crew on set is being able to have like that freedom that you could, yeah, you not only are working with other creatives like yourself that are, there's always, everybody's like at different stages in their career, but you can learn together, learn and grow together, and learn from each other,
Right.
and make your lives whole lot easier. Like I think that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed being able to work with more people and being on set and being with crews, is being able to absorb how people do things, how people operate, and I don't know. I feel like filmmaking or just being creative in general could be very lonely, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I feel like there are times where I really do value that alone time, and just kind of doing things on your own, which is one of the reasons why I like cycling too.
Right.
Is the fact that you have freedom, right? And I think being able to work with crews, you do have some kind of freedom where the other creatives, they understand that as well. And I feel like you can relate at that, being able to relate with that makes reaching that, ultimate goal, whether it's the film, the shoot day, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish at any given moment, it allows you to, get there that much easier.
And on the flip side of, being alone and working on your own is exposure cool.
I don't know.
Because it just dropped down. Wait, you shooting raw?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so on the flip side of being alone and working alone, man, sometimes I feel like all creatives get in our own head. And sometimes it could paralyze us to the point we question every new idea we have, and we won't drop something for months because we just stuck in our own head. And being around creative people, like even if you're not in the same department as me, just talking to people or just hearing stories from sets they've been on and all that stuff, it kind of just put that spark in your head. Maybe you had one idea and they tell you about a movie they just shot similar to the idea you had, and it's like, oh, so that's not a crazy idea for me to write the script for and things like that. So
I mean, I'll tell you this. That's one of the reasons why I started the podcast, and also one of the reasons why I stopped doing it for a while. So one of the reasons, like I said in the beginning, one of the reasons why I wanted to start the podcast was just to be able to connect with other creatives, talk about things that we're struggling with, and in a way see how they go about overcoming those challenges that you go through as a creator from time to time, and how can I learn something from that. And I feel like for me, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've been able to just learn from other people's experiences, and I want to be able to do that and share that with the world. But one of the reasons I've kind of went on a hiatus was that I ended up getting caught up with that, where like I wasn't super inspired with what I was making, or even like towards the end, maybe some of the topics or the themes of the conversations. I feel like it started getting too, for lack of a better term, like raw, where like super positivity, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I started to feel that I was not necessarily being as authentic to myself, and it kind of deterred me from, I didn't want to be. I felt like a fraud, and I don't want to be a fraud in front of the camera.
right.
But now, looking back on it, I kind of regret stopping, and I should have been a little bit more honest to myself and to like the viewers of like, it's not always like super positive, and there's a lot of times where things don't necessarily go the way that we want them or how we expect them to.
And some days you just don't feel like doing it.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's just
yeah.
part of the process.
Right.
So like I really, and that's one of the things now is like I want to be able to still continue to share these stories and try to be my authentic self. And I feel that even with this incorporating it with bikes, it doesn't necessarily, I don't know if it's going to always be bikes, but like right now that's just something that like I really enjoy doing, and it gives me an opportunity to share that experience with somebody, and hopefully somebody comes out on a ride with me and they end up going and buy a mountain bike, or they want to go ride again. And if that's something that like I can help push to the world, like I want to be able to be a conduit to having people want to explore trying something new,
Right.
getting out of their comfort zone.
Right.
I think that's the really the biggest thing, is being able to get out of your comfort zone. And like I feel like with social media today, we don't really do that enough. And that's why, like, sometimes even just mountain biking, like we just went on this trail, man. Like it's not really easy, especially if you don't do it a whole lot.
Right.
Like you put a lot of you get a lot of mental strain, physical strain of like actually having to pedal, going over obstacles and things, that it really forces you to lock in and be present and just do something hard. And I feel like there's a lot to be gained from that. Because I feel like sometimes, man, even like working out, dude, like you just feel good.
Yeah.
You get that rush after you finish that you're like, oh shit, like.
And you get off of like social media where it's just comparison. Look at this guy who I feel like I'm better than, but he got more viewers than me, and he's getting sponsored by such and such company. Why I ain't getting sponsored? Why? And I'm just comparing myself. When I come out here, the only person I'm comparing myself to is the person yesterday that wasn't able to make that jump, or So I'm just really just locked in out here. Yeah, man.
And is there anything else that you like, any other hobbies or anything else that you've kind of like picked up that allows you, like, whenever you want to kind of get
video
away
games.
from working? Video games?
Video games.
Okay, I feel
Call me
that.
childish, but I love Call of Duty. I love video games. And it's kind of like a full circle, because when I was younger, I loved video games. And I got away from them for a while. And now I'm back on it. When I'm playing video games, Call of Duty for the most part. You just get on there with your boys, you just get to talk stuff. But you locked in. I'm not looking at my phone, I'm not checking my email, I'm just talking stuff with my boys, and we just, trying to get a dub.
Yeah, I feel that. Like I think everybody, as long as you're able to have something that you can kind of go back to, that kind of takes you away from the grind of having to outdo the next guy,
Yeah.
or be better than the next guy. Like I think it's crucial for us to have, whether it's video games, exercising, mountain climbing, rock climbing, mountain biking, whatever. So tell me a little bit about, like, we talked a little bit about how you kind of got your start up, like doing, the run and gun music videos, and, you've had your hands in some features now. Like what are some of the things that you look forward to doing, or you know, what does the ideal situation look like for you, you know, and like in your career, like where you are right now, like are you even at that spot right now?
Oh, absolutely not. I feel like my next moves that I would love to happen would be definitely do a lot more films, maybe produced by myself. That way I can kind of overlook everything, kind of tell my own stories with my vision totally. I mean, with people that's coming together, but I'm kind of over it. That for sure. And I want to open up like a program down in Cincinnati for the kids and where they can come in and learn. That's the only y'all.
My bad.
I'm gonna run it back. But yeah, I want to open up a program down in Cincinnati where I can kind of it'll be a free program for kids to come in and learn media, learn how to use cameras. Maybe I can be the first one to let them, you know what I mean, see a red camera. I ain't see a red camera until like 6, 7 years into my career, and I always used to look at them. But now I got one. They can come in, try the cameras out, show them it's not that hard. You know, maybe bring them on a couple sets, and maybe they'll decide to pick up the trade too. You know.
It's I feel like it's really like there's no better time to like be able to pick up a trade like that. I feel like almost anybody
Mhm.
could benefit from having, you know, skills in that. Doesn't necessarily mean you got to be, you know, a pro or doing it full time, but it's you talked about it earlier where like I feel like it's very, the barrier to entry is very low now, where
Yeah.
like I mean even like not even talking gear aside, but just being able to have like a lot of the info out there. Like dude, I see stuff online now where like people like literally planning out shots. Like you see people like, oh yeah, this is how you do this is how you frame that, this is how you frame that. Like it gives people, you know, a lot of opportunity to be able to try things and do things like that. Do you feel that it's the the accessibility of things like that, has it watered down like the craft per se, or do you feel any kind of way about that?
I wouldn't say watered down because we got more access to things that 10 years ago we'd be like, so the internet 10 years ago, the things we see today is like incredible. If you take somebody from 10 years ago and show them like the simplest, just real, they'll look at it like, who the hell did this? That should be somebody making 100,000, 200,000 a year. But this is probably somebody that has what's the app called?
It's a cap cut.
CapCut. They did it on CapCut. Like they should be making 100, 200 a year for something they just put on CapCut. Like, so I think I like it because it's so it goes back to that thing where it's like I love to watch it, but it's like in comparison, that CapCut what CapCut did in 30 seconds, it took me 2 hours a few years ago to get that same effect.
Yeah. I feel like it's like a lot of tools that are available now, like I don't really have a problem with it. I feel like if anything, it just makes work easier.
Mhm.
You being able to have
Yeah.
that accessibility and you know, yeah, those things that I mean, hell, even like
AI.
yeah.
Listen. I just did a video and I use AI. I forget the name of the application, but it's like you can take a few frames from a video, music video you chopping up, throw it in there, type in add a skull head, and it'll put the skull head on AI on the video, and then you just drop it back into your timeline, and now it cuts to a skull head cartoon. Like, and I did a whole video like that. It was dope. That's something I would have had to hire an animator for
Yeah.
a few years ago.
So it's like, I don't know. I don't have a problem with that. I know I see people online, like people that I know personally that feel some kind of way about it, and I don't know.
Embrace it.
Yeah,
The world's gonna change.
I'm a big proponent of like, if you do good work, like you're gonna get seen and you're gonna get your opportunities, and it's like just because somebody else is getting shine for something, like it doesn't take anything away from what you're able to
Right,
do.
right, right. For sure.
You know, it's I don't know, it's something like don't really talk about it a whole lot. Like I try to stay away from like the debates and stuff, but I don't know, I've been seeing a lot of that recently, where it's like a lot of people get caught up with,
I
you
love
know,
it.
the not only the gear concept, but also just like how easy things are, or maybe like you just, you know, you're copying what somebody else is doing. But I think copying somebody,
If you look at Hollywood, every time a movie drops, it's probably 2, 3 of the same movies that's gonna drop or
same
similar.
plot, everything.
Yeah,
Like
this is nothing new, you know.
like how many times you go to, you know, you watch a movie and you already know like what's gonna happen.
Go back to the '90s, no, the '80s, the cop movies. How many cop movies was it? Then you go to, I mean, superhero movies now. It's the same thing. It's just you just gotta adapt. That's the biggest thing. Adapt with it. What if I didn't want to get a DVD player when the VHS was out? What if I didn't want to get, Netflix when DVDs was going out? You just gotta adapt with it. So
Yeah, and like I don't know, it's yeah. I mean that's really all you can do. Like there's
adapt. Don't be the old guy that's mad at the young kids because they understand it because they decided to learn it when you were sitting there
complaining.
complaining, still using Premiere.
So I think with that being said, like what as we kind of like start to wrap up, like what I don't know, is there? Have you done many pods? Like I tried to see if you had done like any other episodes. I try to see like if there was anything that maybe we could touch on or talk to. But like what is something like you think like what's a topic or something that you think the one that we haven't touched on yet, but
Mhm.
like that you think is worthwhile having that could be beneficial for like anybody listening to the podcast, creative or not.
Um, Let me see. Really, just stop comparing yourself, cause and I'm saying that I compare myself to this day to a lot of people, and it's like it paralyzes me to the point. It's just like step away from it. It's okay. Get a hobby. Go do something else, and then come back to it and focus on what's in front of you. Don't worry about everything else. Because I want sponsorships. I want to be on YouTube. I want my TikTok to have 100K, and I'm bringing in 60,000 a month because I'm funny or something like that. But it's like maybe that's just not my time right now. Let me focus on what's in front of me and just take it step by step. Like just one day at a time. Just figure it out. Because the more you look up and you wonder why you ain't there, take it day by day. So yeah.
Honestly, like that's a really really good way to like wrap it up.
Uh-huh.
So before we call it wraps, would you I want to take you out like on another trail that's
Mhm.
maybe a little bit harder, and I think it'll be a little bit more challenging, but I want to see like how you be able to handle it because seeing you ride now compared to like the last time we rode,
Mhm.
like you can see a little bit of improvement, and I'm like, okay, maybe you can try. Would you be down to do that?
Yeah, come on. Let's do
Let's make it happen then.
it. All right.
All right, Shawn, man, appreciate you coming out on the podcast. I think it it's I don't know. I really appreciate you not only one like kind of being the inspiration of us being able to like have this conversation, be here talking right
Mhm.
now, because it really did like that conversation that we had after riding really clicked something for me like, oh, maybe this is something that I can try,
Mhm.
and I was motivated to want to try. So like one, thank you for that, and then two, like I really appreciate just being able to you know have somebody else that I can relate to and like I can reach out to and talk to, because I feel like that is something that a lot of I mean people are way better about it now than maybe let's say 10 years ago,
Mhm.
where it's everybody's at different stages in their career, and there's no reason why I can't reach out to you or you can't reach out to me or I can't reach out to the next guy
Mhm.
and ask for advice or get insights on something, or even just reach out just to show some love and show some appreciation. So like I want to say thanks for you being open and receptive to that,
Mhm.
because like even back 8-10 years ago, not everybody was doing that.
Right.
And like for a fact that bro, like everybody was like super guarded, super like, oh, I don't want to share this
Uh-huh.
information or whatever. Like there was a lot of gatekeeping, and I never got that from you. And even like when I first started, like as somebody who was already kind of established and doing their own thing, like you were one of those guys that always showed love and appreciation and were always open to like just share information and just talk, that it allowed me to be like that to other people,
Mhm.
because I feel like I've never really been the type to like hold anything back from people, and if people ask questions I'm like, yeah, sure, this is how I did this or that.
Right. Right.
And like I don't know, like I said, maybe it's not that's not really necessarily the case now. I feel like a lot more people with the internet now, a lot more people are more open to sharing information and
Yeah.
just learning from each other, but that wasn't the case like maybe for like how the young kids would call us old heads,
Yeah.
like it's you don't really see that a lot. So like
Uh-huh.
I want to say thanks for being open and being receptive to that, because it really helped me to kind of do the things that I've been able to do. And like I don't necessarily think I probably wouldn't be here you know, as a filmmaker, creative, but then hell, not even, you know, like I said, you were the inspiration for revamping the podcast and doing incorporating bikes. So
Yeah, no problem.
appreciate you, man.
No problem. I just, I try to speak to myself 10, 15 years ago. What would I want to hear at the time? So that's how I relay messages, just what would I want to hear at the time. So,
So that being said, Shawn, thank you for being on
oh
the
yeah, no
Creative
problem.
Block. Give people where can people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Dream Vision Films. Really just go there, and from there you can just get out my other socials. But go to Instagram.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone. Till next time. Peace.